on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, though. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak on it. Welcome to speak on it. I'm welcome to speak. Welcome to speak. Welcome to speak. I'm 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 who you with, Kirk, dog. Welcome to speak on it with who you with, Kirk, dog. I'm who you with, Kirk, dog. You know what tonight is. It's Thursday night. My girl is back in the house with her boy. Miss RsKee is here. But first of all, we want to welcome everyone on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch, Twitter. D Live is in the house. I've been talking about this all week. Some of the terms that we use as a kid that we still use today, and some of the meaning of some of those terms. My girl has spent probably about the last month working on this and reading some of these terms. I'm like, man, they are good. So y'all can live chat with us tonight. She's going to come in with the history first, and then we're going to talk about these terms. So definitely welcome my girl, Miss RsKee, to the show.
Hey.
Wait, you sound. Hey. Hey. What's going on, Miss RsKee? How you been? I really miss you. I thank you for being such a good friend, being there for me whenever I reached out to you. I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank
And
you
thank
for
you
being
for
a
this
friend.
platform you've got me on, that you forced me to be on a weekly basis. But we're not going to talk about that.
Well, I want you to have your own day. Just
Yeah,
you by yourself. But we working on that.
yeah.
Welcome to the show, T-Cal. Say, hey, y'all, happy Thursday. It is Thursday. I think I get excited because I'm off the next 2 days.
Yeah, I go in and it's been pretty quiet. It's been pretty quiet at
Well,
work, so
that's
it's not
good.
too traumatizing.
Welcome to the show. Maya Torito Kelly is watching on Facebook. You can live chat with us in the chat room. If you really want to be a part of the show, go over to speak on it with who you with, Kurt, though. And then you can live chat with us and we can put your message up on the board. So, but if you don't want to change, stay right there. I will still read your message. So, Miss RsKee,
Yes.
this work you've been working on for about a month.
Yeah, because I wanted to do it right. I didn't know like how to present it without being, because it's going to offend some people probably, but I know a lot of people have these terms that we go on saying and just with our family and friends, and we don't really think about the context and the meaning and where it comes from. And I know in the Black community, there are a lot of terms that we wouldn't dare say outside of the house, but you don't think about it. You think that's like what the words are. But we're going to start it off with one of the terms that, and go into our history lesson. Uncle Tom one is something you hear on all races, but it's basically it considered a Black man considered to be excessively obedient or servile. But guess what? Uncle
Okay.
Tom was based on a real-life story of Josiah Henson, who was born June 15th, 1789, through he died May 5th, 1883. He was born into slavery in Port Tobacco, Charles County, Maryland. Uh, so his story begins, like I said, 1789, um, and his parents were owned by two different white families. In his autobiography, Life of Josiah Henson, former slave, Henson recalled how his earliest memories were ones of violence. In particular, Henson remembered when an overseer tried to rape his mother and his father attacked the man. For the crime of beating a white man, Henson's father lost one ear, sliced off close to his head, and received 100 lashes. Then he was sold to a different family, and Henson never saw him again. So slavery would continue to chip away at Henson's family. When his mother's owner died, he and his five siblings were put up at auction and sold to the highest bidder, and they were scattered all throughout various parts of the country. When a white man named Isaac Riley bought Henson's mother, she pleaded with him to also purchase Josiah and her youngest child, who was only 5 years old at the time. But instead, Riley beat her, and this was one of his earliest observations of men that Henson wrote in his autobiography. And it stated that it was an experience which has been common to me with thousands of my race. End quote. So Henson grew up on the Riley plantation outside of Washington, D.C. And though he recalled the many beatings at Riley's, the court, he states that it was a course of at the vulgar hands. He managed to gain Riley's trust. So even though he couldn't read or write, it's speculated that Henson had a keen business acumen that wasn't lost on Riley. And Henson was often dispatched to Washington, D.C. to sell Riley's produce, and usually, which is usually reserved for white people. Riley also came to see Henson as his bodyguard, and once even called him to save him from a fight in a pub. Um, Even though Riley's opponent clocked Henson over the head, over the shoulder blade, or over the shoulder blades, so hard it left him permanently disfigured and unable to lift his hands above his head for the rest of his life. So he was disabled from saving his, owner. Eventually, Josiah found Christianity while being a part of Riley's plantation, and eventually became a preacher. Even though he couldn't read, because Riley would beat him for trying to learn, Henson memorized verses that built a modest following. A white minister even helped him to raise $350, which is equivalent of 3 years' wages, in order to buy his freedom. But of course, Riley refused to let him go. He cheated him out of money and then declared that he would sell him further south away from his family, his wife, children, and he would task his nephew with, the sale. So let's see. Eventually, Riley, like I said, he refused to let him go and cheated him out of his money. And let's see. He eventually moved to, I guess he was bought, or, I think where is it? It says in 1830, Henson fled with his wife and 4 children. So eventually they got off the plantation, they fled. They walked 600 miles through the night and slept during the day until they reached Canada. at the Niagara River, and a Scottish captain helped Henson to cross the border. And once there, Henson vowed to use his freedom, for, good. And he did. So in the late 1830s, Henson and other abolitionists purchased 200 acres of land in Ontario, where they established a settlement of free black people. It's a population numbered in the hundreds. The settlement became a stop on the Underground Railroad, and Henson returned to the United States many times, helping to bring 118 more slaves to freedom. Even though he could, let's see, through his work, Josiah connected with a network of abolitionists, and one of those men was Samuel Atkins Elliott, a former mayor of Boston who later became congressman. And then Harriet Beecher Stowe was one amongst the enthusiastic readers, and they met in 1849. And she is the one who pretty much took Josiah's life and incorporated it into her story. And I didn't read it in school, but Uncle Tom's Cabin is, one of those popular books and educate, that educators used back in the day. I don't know if they do it now, because they've been kind of suppressing a lot of materials from back in that time. But she pretty much wanted to take his life and of his misfortunes, and him, being heroic and bringing people across the border to save them from slavery. And like I said, she met him, and then 2 years later, she put his accounts towards Uncle Tom's Cabin, which, quote, to awaken sympathy and free feeling for the African race, end quote. And in the novel, several of the black characters escape to freedom, but Uncle Tom dies at the hand of a vicious slave owner when he refused to turn on two enslaved women he helped escape. So Henson died, like I said, in 1883 at the age of 93. And he famously said, quote, "I have been called Uncle Tom, and I feel proud of the title," end quote. Which led me to this whole thing. Like, how did this term Uncle Tom become synonymous with being like a sellout? Well, I'll tell you how. What had happened was an American copyright law before 1856. They didn't give novel authors any control of any derivative stage adaptations. And we see this all the time in movies where they whitewash a lot of the characters. Like, you got what was it? Brad Pitt playing the Mexican, Tom Cruise playing the samurai. Even what was it? Recently, we just watched the Ten Commandments, and I don't think any of those were, of Jewish or Middle Eastern descent. But yeah, basically, when they adapted the novel, for stage adaptation, the minstrel shows, they retold it with men in blackface, and they were, transforming Uncle Tom into a fool. And so that's where it came from. And then later on, in 1919, Reverend George Alexander McGuire, a supporter of radical black nationalist Marcus Garvey, he was addressing, or he addressed his people at a convention of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, and, quote, "The Uncle Tom nigger has to go, and his place must be taken by the new leader of the Negro race. Not a black man with a white heart, but a black man with a black heart," end quote. So that's where it stuck, because during that time, a lot of these, northern blacks were, taking a lot of jobs, and they didn't want these uppity Negroes taking their work, and they thinking they're good, better than everybody. And so the term stuck to kind of make a mockery of like of somebody who's supposed to be like a hero to the black man, you know? And so that just led me on down a rabbit hole on other terms that we use that, we're not like, if you really say it out loud, yeah, some of the words that you use aren't quite right, but you don't think about it because they're so ingrained in our culture and in our, you know, regular colloquialisms that we just don't even think about it and where the root comes from. So that's what the rest of the show is going to be about. So, pretty much whitewashing. Um, there's a lot of definitions, but we're gonna bring up the sugarcoat racist ideals and words that make them less offensive. So one that I use a lot, even at work. But I mean, it seems harmless, but you don't think about these things.
Don't think about
Peanut
it at
gallery,
all.
yeah, like peanut gallery. Who hasn't said the peanut gallery? It's like, oh, we're hearing commentary from the peanut gallery. But guess what?
That's a racist term.
Very racist, because guess where it came from? It referred to mostly black people who were sitting in the cheap seats in vaudeville theaters. And they would usually throw peanuts on the stage if they didn't like, performance, tomatoes, whatever. But the peanut gallery is like the cheapest and worst part of the theater that was only for black attendees.
Mm.
Like, who knew? I use that
Ex-
all the time.
Exactly. I think we all have used those terms, but never really thought about them. And I see here where in 2018, the National Urban League said that the phase and attendees that no one wants to sit in a peanut gallery, and today no one wants to hear from the peanut gallery. Same thing.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, how many folks really want to hear the voice of black people?
I mean, we got that voter suppressing thing going on, so they definitely don't want to hear it from the peanut
Exactly.
gallery.
That's why it's so important to get out and vote. Let your voice be heard.
Very true. Another word that I'm sure we've all used at one point. Got cheated. What do you say? Oh man, I got
I
gypped.
get, I got you.
When we feel shortchanged or cheated or swindled. Well, guess what? That was like an insult to the gypsy population. The Romani gypsy people who still to this day face discrimination because of their darker skin, and some of them were enslaved in some parts of Europe, but they're like the outcast of like a lot of parts of Europe even today. So yeah, we still use these words, but again, we never really think of the root of these.
Exactly. And we have to think about all of it because
Right.
once it's all said and done, we all said and done things that we don't know the true meaning, but we go by what we was taught. And we use these not thinking that it's anything wrong with it, but
Right. We just say it because that's what we hear.
exactly. And I'm glad Miss Risky went through and actually done this research because it's given me knowledge of some things I've said and didn't
Yeah.
know. Didn't know.
And this one I personally can't stand. It's not necessarily racist, but it is
Yeah.
when certain people say that to a minority. Go into a job interview, and what do you hear? Oh,
Oh,
you're
you
very
better
articulate.
articulate. Exactly.
Like, what did you think I was going to sound like? Like, that's just a slap in the face. Like, you don't expect me, a person of color, to be articulate or educated like that. Like, we need to wipe that out. Like, just stop. Like, I'm offended when I hear that. I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, how do
Well,
you respond to that?
just bring your own water. I guess they're supposed to bring
No,
their
how
own
you get out of that? Just bring them little mini bottles of wine because they
water.
said water, not wine. So there's a loophole. We can find it.
Welcome to the show, Micah. Came on last night. Glad you came back again. Uh, you're more than welcome to chat live with us in the chat room. We're also opening up the phone lines too. You don't have to try to type your feelings. You can actually call in. And
And if
um,
you, yeah, especially call in, and especially if you know of any terms for your culture that that you use in your household, because that's what this show is about, bringing light to these terms that we use. Because we're gonna get to the worst of them at the end.
exactly. Um, so it's a lot. If y'all knew, it's like 7 or 8 pages that she did. That is very
Yeah, I took
good.
out a lot, but you know, we're going through some of them. Another one that nobody wants to be in when
True.
you partying.
Patty
You can get a
wagon.
little tipsy, maybe, or you get a little, excitable. Paddy wagon. And you're like,
Exactly.
what's wrong with paddy wagon? Well, I'll tell you what. That's an insult to Irish people. Because in 19th century, when Irish immigrants and refugees from the Great Famine flooded cities in the northeastern United States, the rowdy, hated Catholic Irish as and considered them um, poor. And they, you may have heard this with, number 45. Whenever immigrants come into town, they consider them. They like to say they like to steal, drink, and fight, and their behavior usually caused them to be arrested and carted away in they say Black Marias, which they were renamed paddy wagons. But anytime there's a large group of immigrants, they always trying to say, oh, they lie, they cheat and steal and get into fights. But yeah, that's what it was, in reference to the Irish Americans. So it is an Irish American slur, but that's what they call them. Like, it's just accepted.
Now, also you have to remember back in the days, not only people used that as a racial slur, but also the police used to call the paddy wagon.
They still do.
Well, I
They
don't
still
think.
do. Yeah,
Well, I guess they
yeah,
do have
yeah.
some
They
paddy
still do.
wagon.
Yeah,
They just
it's
updated ones. They vans now.
yeah.
So
So, but they still call the van. So you go into the paddy wagon. Like, it's just something that just rolls off. Like, you don't think about it.
like it's just normal.
Yeah,
But because people is accustomed to hearing these terms in the way that America have made the terms not sound so bad, but the root of them is where they came from.
right.
So yeah,
And
that's
then another one. I use this often, especially when I'm lost or if I deviate from where I'm supposed to go.
yeah.
Off the reservation. And of course, off the reservation is rooted in the forced relocation of Native Americans in the 19th century. So they had to leave, their reservation and land, and to which they had been confined, and so they were relocated, and they literally moved them off the reservation.
Exactly. Which is what the heck?
Are you seeing ghosts?
No, it was somebody passing down the road. It was just loud. But yeah, off the reservation.
Yeah.
That's another racist term that we use. Now we had Michael to ask a question, random question, but does watching cartoons that had racist joke like Family Guy in South Park, and finding them funny make you a racist. Well, I don't think it make you a
Yeah.
racist. It's just that we're so accustomed to hearing certain things. It's like a norm now. But the
Like, I'm a fan of South Park, and it's been out for what, 20 years now? I don't know how long. 20 seasons. And I was in my 30s, like mid 30s, when I realized they called the black kid Token, and it didn't click. Like one day I was just like, they said his name, and I was like, Token, huh? Yeah, he's the token black kid. Like it didn't dawn on me until I was actually, I don't know what was going on. I just had a aha moment, and it's like pretty much the terms we're getting into next. That was the moment, and I'm sure most cultures. I don't know if Caucasians, that Irish or Italians or whatever have terms they use amongst themselves that they use that they don't really think is racist, but like you wouldn't go out and say it amongst your peers. But yeah, it's like I was in my 30s when I realized, wait a minute, they really like the only black kid, Token. Who knew? I mean, I'm sure they knew, but you don't think about it.
and I think a lot of us, what we do when certain shows come on, we pay attention not just to the words they saying, but we pay attention to the graphic of it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I,
and there's a way they make light of it. And we're so numb to the like the blatant racism or sexism or whatever. Um, we just numb to it.
and T Cal said yes, so racist but funny, and they take offer every race, so I think it make it what is funny.
Yeah, they're like an equal opportunity offenders.
Yeah.
Like nothing's, off the table.
Now I think if they were just targeting one particular race, yes,
Right.
I think a lot of people would have problems with it. Now, by no means are we throwing South Park or Family Guy under the bus, but I
Right. I
think
mean, because I still watch it.
I
Like
think
it
we
took me a while to get back into it because one of them episodes was disgusting, and I was scarred for life because I was like, I don't think I'm old enough to watch this, and I stopped watching for like 10 years and then picked it back up. But yeah, I mean, I think just it comes with education and just being aware, and then you realize, wait a minute, this may not be right, and we may need to do something about it. But it's does it like it just because it's entertainment? Does that make it right? He wants to know which episode of South Park. Is that what you're asking, Michael? I will tell you which episode scarred me for life. It was during the whole time. What was it? The Lord of the Rings, and they had blockbusters. So the parents tasked them with returning the Lord of the Rings video, but they got a porno video mixed up with the tape. So the kids are going on a quest, and one of the kids, I think it was Tweak or Butters, got the tape, and he started reenacting some of the scenes because they were like, you got to pick a character and play it, and he's humping everybody, and they're like, what is wrong with you? Take it to Token. That's when I was like, Token, I get it now. So the parents are trying to find this video. The kids are, off, and the older kids are chasing them for this porno tape. The parents come in the room, and Token's just sitting there at his desk with his eyes big, and he's just like stunned. And they're like, oh my gosh, so you saw the video? And they were like, what video did you see? And it was like the worst video. And so they started explaining what sex was. He was like, oh, when a man and a woman, when they're in love, they just have intercourse and da 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 da. And Token goes, so what is it if a woman's with two men and they throw ranch dressing on her?
Yeah, I think I would have had to miss that one.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the part. Like I had an aha moment because they called him Token, but then I was like, wait, did they just say two men and then they threw ranch dressing on her face? So yeah, I had to. Yeah, it was too old for me.
Yeah,
Funny, but it was too much. Like that was my
it was
line.
way too much.
Yeah,
See,
that was my
I
line.
don't. I never really paid attention to them that much. South Park nor um, Family Guy. Family Guy, I would kind of
I
watch that
couldn't
every
watch
once in a while.
Family Guy.
Well, it's the what's the main character name? He was always funny to me.
Like I saw one part of an episode where I think it was like the NRA episode or something. I don't know. He just had guns. They were like, and God said upon, something upon the, you should have AK-47. I don't know. It was something. He was just shooting at people or out. I don't know. And I was like, I don't know. This is for me. Hey, Marcellus.
Marcellus stepping out. I knew he was coming tonight. He said, "Oh yeah, I can't wait for." Think the other night he came on talking about Thursday night is my best night. In his Luther voice, he said, "Thursday night is my best night, Miss Rescue."
So, all right. So I have three other terms that I grew up using
I
in
think
my
we all
family.
did. I think we all did.
And it wasn't until I like got out into the world that I realized, you know what? I don't think this is what they call this stuff. Like
Uh,
again, I'm in my 30s and you have so every Christmas,
uh-oh.
your great uncle, gets the bucket of nuts. You give him the nutcracker and he's just going to town and he's like, and what does he say? Hey, you got any
And
more of them nigger
nigga
toes?
toes.
And we just okay, here you go. We didn't know what they were. I've never eaten any of those because I was just into almonds and cashews. And then it wasn't until later on listening to, my Russ Martin. So the white man taught me this was not right. And I was in my 30s. And he was like, bringing up these terms that we use that we need to stop using Southern African Americans. We need to stop. We
Yeah.
need to stop. And he said, said Brazilian nuts, and then he described them, and I was like, wait, what? They're not called. And I was like, of course they're not called nigger toes. Like you don't think about it because your whole family, your whole life, you grew up thinking that's what they were, and you don't question it. Like how
Oh,
dare you question the elders? You don't,
you just went by with what they told you. Hey,
right?
here they
And then
are.
yeah, and then you just get out into the world and you realize, huh? Yeah, okay.
And you never could open. You can. It was hard to bite them open.
Again, I've never had them, never really saw them. I just, we would just hear them say it because, again, most of the nuts I was kind of allergic to, so I stayed away from them. So I didn't know what they were. But, I saw them, but it didn't click. And I think
Well,
that's the problem we have. It doesn't click that, yeah, these are inappropriate terms. And we're bringing up the next generation with these terms and terminologies and phrases that we use, and we don't think about, wait a minute, the root. Yeah, this is inappropriate.
the root up. Now,
Yeah.
now, let me put out a disclaimer. You're gonna hear some N words, some nigga, and however you want to say it. You're gonna hear some of that tonight. So please,
Yeah.
hopefully, you don't get offended, but you do learn about these terms that we are talking about, and hopefully, we can put a stop for the generation behind us can stop using these terms, teaching the right way of doing things, and not using these terms um, like we learned. So,
Yeah.
um,
And another one that I didn't think about.
I just seen the video of this one, but
Oh
it's
no,
hard to
no. I'm
put.
skipping to the other one,
Oh,
the next
okay,
one, just because
okay.
I have more of a personal. Because again, 4th of July, what do we all do? We get our fireworks. I just so happened to be dating a white dude at the time who was going to the country to get some fireworks. So I go up to him and I was like, "Oh, hey, why don't you go get us some?"
Nigga chaser.
And then he was like, "What were you gonna say?" And I was like, "What do you call them?" He's like, "Probably the same thing you call them, nigger chasers." Like it didn't dawn on me that this may not be the correct term for this firework. But there's not. They're little small firecrackers that zip around. They're called chases, and I think in Texas they were called Texas whistlers because they just zipped and made noises on the ground, and all the kids would scatter. It didn't dawn on me until again in my 30s, and when you're in mixed crowds, you're like, maybe I shouldn't say that in front of him. But they called it that too. But I think it's more of a southern thing. I don't know what the northern blacks, if they had any terms, but from me personally, like we just grew up, that's what we called them. But that is not what they were.
Okay. Since you're talking about 4th of July,
hmm
well, I'm gonna say any holiday, any weekend, especially during the summertime,
hmm
we all used to play this one game. What if it was the kids in the neighborhood or your family, your cousins come over? When it got dark, y'all want to play this game. So, and I just recently seen a video of this. Now, I don't know what the kids was thinking about because it's hard to play this game today with the doorbell ring bell and cameras on the house. It's hard to play this game. So I know personally for myself, at night when we got bored, we try to come up with a game. We went nigger knocking.
I played that too.
We go and knock on somebody's door.
Caucasians would call it ding dong ditch, but we didn't know that.
Mhm. Yeah. And we would go knock on doors and we would run. Now, if we got real bored, we'll take like some balloons or something, fill them up with water, and put it on the door knob for when they open the door, that balloon and bust. By that time, we gone.
Right.
But what was crazy, everybody knew everybody, so they knew who was
Right.
doing
So that's crazy. But if
it.
you were fast, there's always that one slow kid, but
Yeah.
they knew who he hung out with. So you
I
couldn't really
catch you,
hide.
I'ma beat you. Then I'ma send you home to your mama, get another beat. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now
But
I
yeah.
I don't know what that how that came about, that name, nigger knocking, but
Yeah, I'm sure there's a history of it. I didn't go too far into the history of that particular word or phrase. But yeah, what else we got? One that I think we usually say this with our children. Like if you have babies and you're counting any, mini, miny, mo.
that's that. Oh.
Mm. But it was published in 1888. Um, and we adapted it later on to catch a tiger by its toe or whatever. But guess what it originally was? It was catch a nigger by his toe. And it was very racist, and it was popular during slavery because they were used to pretty much describe a slave selection or a punishment for runaway slaves. So yeah, and you don't really think about it. And I think even hip hip hooray was a racist Jewish term, because Hitler, whenever he got his Gestapo, whatever group together, he would have HEP, HEP rallies. And, but that was like a term to wrangle up the Jewish population. but we just throw hooray at the end to negate the original racist context of the word. So yeah, like our whole language is rooted in racist and offensive terms that we still use today. And I don't know how we would stop using these terms. I guess just bring more awareness out to these terms so that the next crop of kids don't have to be faced with these terms.
Uh, I'm pulling up.
Are you looking up more racist?
No, I'm actually pulling up that nigga knocker, see where it came from, and I'm looking at that, but let me see here, because I'm curious, where did that term come from? Of course, we have different definition of it.
Hmm.
Um, like for instance, um, the Urban Dictionary say um, basically the same concept, uh, doing dome ditch, but how we in the hood do it is bang on the door like the police with the side of your fist 3 or 5 times and haul ass across the street. P.S. If you want to add more excitement on the second knock, yeah, niggas as loud as you can. Um, then the sentence, I was just sitting on the couch. Then I heard them little hoodlums, nigga knocking on my door and calling me a nigga. So I went out with my nine and pop a cap in their ass. That's the Urban Dictionary. But of course, we don't recommend anybody doing that because you will go to jail. Um, but this is some great information. Had a couple of comments come in.
Yeah, because I'm just curious to know if any other cultures have these terms or phrases that they use in their homes that, but they probably don't realize it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Because like I said, I was in my 30s when I realized some of these terms weren't appropriate.
Well, Mike, to answer your question, I do agree with that. For the simple fact, however you use that word, we can either give that word power or we can take the power from that word. That's excuse me. That's kind of like what you answer to.
Right.
That can either give it power or take it away. So for
Well,
me,
yeah.
if somebody called me a nigger, that's not me. I'm not one. You may feel like I'm one, but I'm not one. I feel like
Well,
you're a
and
nigga for calling me one.
just like the term black. Like even if you think, because we just took it and made it turn it into a positive. Because there's no white race, there's no black race. We weren't black until we got off the boat. You go anywhere else, like even in Africa, they don't consider themselves black. Like it was a term because of our dark skin. Once the slaves got off, they just considered them black.
Because that's
And
what we
they,
was taught.
yeah, right. And so we just turned it around to make it a positive. Like we embraced it because it became a part of our lives. And, we took that negative thing to boost up our community. And there are a lot of terms, just even with your skin color, your race, it's, derived from racism because there's only one human race.
And
And just thinking about biblical times, I think we talked about it before, um, where you can have different colors of people in the same tribe. It wasn't like we weren't broken up by skin tone. It was you were, you know, the from the tribe of David, or you were the tribe of whatever, or you were in this tribe and you had like you were like a crayon box. You had all these complexions, all these beautiful people who were just in one group and with shared experiences. But yeah, slavery just messed up everything for us. And just like the N word, with the rap songs, everybody's like, well, if, we can't say it, why do the rappers say it? Well, they just took a word and made it, they took the power away
Took the power away.
because it was meant to be insulting. So, I mean, you don't go around calling women. If you're hearing sirens, it's coming from my place.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, wait a
All
minute.
of a sudden, there's, I think, a fire truck. I live by a fire station,
Oh, okay.
and
I'm tripping. I'm like, well, hold on now.
yeah.
I can hear it in my ear, and I'm like, I'm looking up at the
They're looking off
in your
like, yeah,
window. I'm like,
they ain't
okay,
coming for you, Curtis. Not today.
well, piss somebody off tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been a lot of activity on that side. I call it the Louisville rectangle because that's where all the chaos happens. There have been standoffs, there have been killings just in this little section. And I'm like maybe a few blocks away, but we're cool over here. It's that
Yeah,
little rectangle. It's just horrible. So
yeah.
it's like not the Bermuda Triangle, it's the Bermuda rectangle. Like, hey, you gonna get shot or held up, something. But I really do live in a great suburb of Louisville.
Well, I used to work out there years ago, and it's not the same no more.
No, like everywhere, it's just people are losing their minds.
Exactly, because I actually we don't want to get off subject. We don't want to get off subject. So, but
Right.
we'll talk about it later. Um,
You got any other terms?
no, these are actually pretty good. I'm
Because
glad.
there's like a ton more. I just kind of kept my list small because, like you said, I had a bajillion pages. And I condensed it because I was like, well, because I was hoping more people would get involved.
Well, I think a lot of people did. Just looking at it, a lot of people probably are just sitting back, soaking it all in because they haven't thought about it.
Right.
Haven't thought about it. So at this point, what we need to do is make a point to make sure we learn these terms that we are talking about and know the true meaning of them. And which this is really good. You always bring good stuff. So
Yeah, I try.
when you told me what you wanted to do, and I'm like, hey, I'm all for it because I know you're gonna make it right. And um, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, because I was like, how could we make this a whole show, like a whole educated, like the whole thing be a history lesson?
Exactly. And even Mr. Henson,
Hmm.
that was interesting.
Yeah, and
And
we all like you hear the people on TV. Oh, he's sold out. He's an Uncle Tom. He's this and that. But that's not what that term originally meant. Like how did we take something positive, like some man who helped people, out of slavery, how we tarnish his image and something that represented him and just made it a negative. But we see how media it does a lot. Entertainment. They have a way of twisting the truth for
exactly,
entertainment purposes. And that's why I say every week we got to change the narrative of how people are seen. Because I can go to Asia and the only perception they have of a black person is what they see on TV, which is not in a positive light at all.
true. So let me ask you a question, Miss Risky. Um, when you before you did your research on this and you heard the term Uncle Tom, what exactly did you think about when you heard that term?
Well, I mean, like I said, we grew up hearing these terms. And what brought my attention to it was, like, I'm not sure what was going on. It just popped up on my feed. I think somebody put up a story, and I saw Josiah Henson, the original Uncle Tom. And then I was like, huh, let me see his story. Because again, I never read Uncle Tom's Cabin. I only knew of that character because of what it turned into. That he was like, one of them buffoons, like what do they call them? A Sambo type character with the big eyes and yes, sir, whatever you want, sir. One of those, because that was what we grew up thinking. And like I said, I never read the book, so I didn't know. And then I read this story and part of his autobiography, and Beecher's story, and how she was inspired by him and created a character based on his life. And so I was like, we need to take that word back and make it and stop using it that way, because we're tarnishing his image pretty much. Because this man who was well respected, who is proud to be considered Uncle Tom and is the original Uncle Tom, and like he would just be shaking his head if he knew that we turned into a buffoon, which
Yes.
that's not what it was supposed to be. So it
And
came from that.
that's true. We've always, as for me, when I've heard the term Uncle Tom, it was always more of a black person that was kissing white people, but
Hmm.
that was felt like they was better than any other black person. Now, in today's society, which I've used this term not too long ago, Uncle Ruckus, because I guess about a month ago, just so happened I was doing some stuff online and went on Periscope at the time. And why I was on Periscope, this brother that was on there, it was the week I did the story about the sister that was shot and killed by the officer in Nashville. Now, I don't really listen to podcasts. If I run across one that is interested, I will spend a couple of minutes on there just to see what's going on. But this brother, I felt like I was being punked because whenever he talked about anything dealing with black folks, he was dogging them out, no matter what it was. Even from the fact of all these victims, kind of like the stories I did last night, different unarmed black boys and men being killed by the police. Um, Even some of those victims, they dogged them out. Now, this is another brother, a black man, that is doing this. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. He even went to the point and blamed Breonna Taylor for her own murder. And I'm like, this gotta be a joke. It was two of them. And they is sitting here talking, but whatever they said about a black person, they called them ghetto, called them all type of names. Even the sister that was shot by the police. I said myself, she was wrong. That was a justified killing. But these dudes, they dogged this sister out. I'm talking about calling them big baboons and all type of stuff, ghetto, thugs, and all of this. And I'm like, really? Um, so the thing is, when it was said and done, that's for me. That's what I would call a Uncle Tom. When you dog out your own race to make yourself look better, and that's
And that's
bad.
what we always grew up thinking, because I mean they were probably in the house during slavery, you know, part of the what do they call them, the paddy wagons or the overseers,
Exactly.
because they had a little bit of power and they thought they were better, and that's those slave terms carried over, and we need to stop all that.
And I feel that if you're trying to, if you're, because he was hosting a podcast now,
Right.
but you are dogging out your own race for your benefits to
Mm,
get people that don't care anything about you to like you. That's what I call Uncle Tom. Now, Michael, I'm glad you cleaned it up on your next comment.
mhm.
Uh, the boyfriend shot through the door and the police shot back. Now, let me ask you a question, Michael. If someone, you in a dead sleep, someone kicking your door in, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
Are you going to wait until they get in and know who it is? Because let the truth be told, if the boyfriend did not fire that shot, the old policeman probably was going to shoot soon as they got in anyway.
Yeah.
Why?
To serve a no-knock warrant, like,
No knock warrant. They bust the door open and they see a black man standing there in the dark. They gonna shoot first, ask question later. And and that's why I said I'm not dogging you out. That's
right.
why I said I'm glad you
Yeah.
cleaned it up on the next one. So they should have announced themselves. Um, and I agree with you. The police did not announce themselves. So I'm not dogging you out about that. But what gets me upset the fact everybody want to say what the boyfriend shot first, or they want to use the term that well she was letting drug dealers be in her house. No, let's look at the fact that these cops should have done their homework.
Yeah, they should have
They
seen who was in the house, and you got some dude just shooting blankly in the back. He
and
can't
not
see
on,
anybody. What if there was a
and
child?
exactly not only that, um, if they would have done their homework, they would have known the person they was looking for was already in jail. Then the guy lied to even get the warrant. That's he need to be held accountable for that. That's a government document, and he lied to get it. So yes, he should be charged. All those cops should be charged. Uh, Cameron should be charged with tampering with evidence. He didn't even give it an option of holding the cops accountable for their action. That wasn't on the table when the grand jury met. So yes, he need to be charged also. So and he need to be disbarred. Bottom line. So I agree with you. It was wrong, and to hear those brothers, they talked about each one of the families that have won lawsuits against the police department, against the city. They talked about them like a dog. I
But
have
that's
issues
what
with that.
society does to us on a daily basis. Like, if I were like in a store and I get shot, they digging up my whole life story to paint me as a criminal. Well, you shouldn't have been at the store. Why were you there? Well, she shoplifted when she was 5. like, we're painted villains, but flip the script. Oh, they're having a bad day. That's why he shot up a whole family, a massage parlor. Oh, he's got PTSD. Like, we're not afforded the luxury of having mental illness. We're just wild animals, need to be taken out. We ain't changed that. We're human.
Exactly. Because that's, and maybe we need to do another show on that because apparently some people are not getting what we said about the difference between black laws and white laws. It's a complete difference
Yeah,
because
it
here it
starts at the
is.
top.
when you hear about these mass shootings, a lot of time it's not a black man. Lately, it been some stuff going on with black folks, but in the past, when you heard about them, it was mainly white guys that was going shooting up these schools, bombing stuff, and they don't go
Hacking up people with machetes on a
exactly.
college campus.
And you don't hear about their background right away.
Mm-mm. Now you
But
see them with their family behind with a Christmas tree behind them. Oh, he's a family man. But Tyrone, who just stole a car, you see
it
his
was the
mugshot.
thug. It was the thug.
Right, he's a thug. And I was
And
like, but
and
he stole a car. It's totally different. Like, show both of them in their mugshots. Don't just show the white dude as a family man and then this one as an animal behind bars, roughed up.
exactly, that's kind of like last year we did a story on this guy. I'm trying to think of the name of the county, but it was in Florida where this guy um, killed two best friends that went fishing.
Oh,
Now
yeah.
that guy had how many felonies did he have?
I want to say he had like, was it 12 or 20? There's a 2 in
No,
there.
no, it was a lot.
It was a lot
I think
of
it was I think
felonies.
it was 62, but I'm not quite sure about that. Let me see if I can
Because was
pull
he
it
in
up.
Florida or Georgia? Florida
It
or
was in
Georgia?
Florida. It was in
It's always
Florida.
in Florida. I don't know
Um,
why I asked. Let's see.
I'm gonna see real quick.
Yeah, but we couldn't do that at all.
Because here it is, we still have guys that get arrested for crimes they didn't even do.
Exactly. Still for life. Like
Exactly.
Tyrone in there with he had just a small roach of weed and he in there for 20 years, but a pedophile can get probation and be on a registry. So we need to change some things. Let's see, where was it? Here's my book. Because I know I had it in one of my notebooks. Hold on.
I'm
It,
trying to pull it up. Um,
uh,
230
oh, wait.
felonies.
Is it Wiggins? Is this
Uh,
it?
it may be a
Days
26 year
after
old
three
man.
friends went. Let's see.
Let me see if I can
Tony
find it.
Tony Wiggins shot and killed the three friends. I think
Yep,
that's him. I think it was Wiggins.
230 felonies. And he's only 26. 26 years old. 230 prior felonies.
Yeah, we can't have that many felonies.
Hell, you
We
could
get
only have
one.
one.
You get a warrant for
You
an
get a misdemeanor.
unpaid parking ticket. You go into the pokey real quick if you caught.
Exactly. Mike said, damn, I never thought about it like that. Yeah.
I mean, because it's like that's what you see on TV. Like if you like, I had a friend who's like, oh, well, he wasn't a friend. It was like a
I
coworker,
mean,
so
okay.
office associate, and complained about everything. And I don't know how we got on this topic, but he was like, "Well, I mean, like black folks are just always on a system. Like the Social Security is made for black folks." I was like, "Boo, boo, boo."
Did you
When the
forget
New
I was
Deal
black?
came out, that didn't have anything to do. We were already poor, and at your rate and your calculations, every black person you know would have kids, be on the system, and living on welfare. Half, like a quarter of these people in office outrank you and are of color. So you need to think like if by your numbers you done said every black person is living on Social Security or some government assistance. Like people don't think; they just hear what Grandpappy had to say. Oh, no, blah, 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 and they don't question it. Like I was saying with these terminologies that we use, we don't question the older generation. and we get
Exactly.
misinformation, and we use it, and you see it regurgitated in news and all sorts of media platforms, and it goes unchecked because nobody wants to do their homework. They just take it. Oh yeah, all black people on the system.
Exactly. Now, see what I also welcome to the show, Charlotte Wesley, listening in on Facebook. You can live chat with us. Also, see, there's another division between black and whites. We are, we most of us probably have seen the movie Red Tail and the way they treated the black pilots in Red Tail. Um, because they didn't feel like they was good enough to fight in a war. But when a lot of those soldiers came home, and even some of the ones that get out of the military for medical discharge or whatever it may be, it's much harder for black people, black soldiers that come home to be able to get the benefit that they're owed. If you ever noticed back in the old days, there was you would always would see um, a lot of uh, white ex servicemen walking around with nice cars, say disabled vet on it. But it's a lot of time people will give black servicemen hell trying to get their benefits. And I feel like this: if you serve, you should get your benefit. Now, if you do like these folks did on January 6th, did this domestic terrorist attack, they shouldn't get them. We shouldn't be paying them to attack our own country.
Yep.
Now, but these servicemen that have served this country, I don't care what color you are, you should automatically get your benefits right away. It shouldn't be no question about it. I've
And
had
also, there should be more programs to help these veterans because it doesn't make sense that you serve your country and your servicemen are homeless or can't get the treatment they need for whatever physical, mental,
PTSD.
whatever. There's no reason they should be like we can pay the Senate and the House representatives for life. No, they represent the people. Guess what? You're gonna get 25%. What is it? 25% of your wages, or is it 75? I don't remember what you get for retirement. But the service people should get the same kind of benefit.
Exactly, especially if they had a honorable discharge.
Right. And
Excuse
you
me.
can put it in tiers, like if you work X amount, but they should have some sort of package. They should never go
Exactly.
hungry. They should never be homeless.
They
And
should be
if
well
they need
taken care
help,
of.
right, if they need help for whatever, it should be available. They should not have to go through so much red tape and whatever and jump through hoops just to be seen.
If they serve this country, they should be taken care of. That's all to it. And here it is. The point I was getting to, the reason why I use Red Tail as an example. I know that was a movie, but that was true to a lot of black soldiers during that time. And I've known people that actually work in those departments and that is no longer there. But they have told me they've seen people that they work with give the black people harder times to try to get their benefits. They will find something wrong with their paperwork to throw it back out. And you shouldn't have to deal with this. I know people that been trying to get their benefit for well over 10 to 30 years, and it's always a problem that
Yep.
served in these wars. So yeah, it
But
shouldn't be
even
like that.
benefits, just like if you're out on leave of some sort, they make you, so make certain people jump through hoops, depending on what it is, because again, they see us as lazy, and oh, they don't want to work, and they want to be given everything for free. And where that started, when we stopped working for free. That's when we started becoming
when we stood
lazy, and you know like, no, we just
when,
wanted to be paid fairly.
when we stood straight up and people couldn't get on our backs no more. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's
uh,
like, really think about how you perceive people and why you perceive them that way, and think of the big picture, because we need to change the narrative of on these race relations and how certain groups of people are seen, because it's destroying us. Like, we're supposed to be the United States, built by on the backs of a minority group with a melting pot of cultures and religion, and it wasn't all Christianity.
exactly.
like like how did we deviate from this plan? Like, we were united, and then now we're just divided states fighting
And,
each other.
and not only fighting each other, but also when they used this term back in the days, the land of the free.
Mhm. Free for who? Free
Maybe
for
they
some men to push you off your property.
maybe they was talking about free of uh, free labor for the masters or something. I don't know, but
Well, I mean,
now
yeah, because they had to go all the way to another continent to get that. So that wasn't there on the land. Well, they tried it with the Native Americans, but then, and again, with Native Americans, they called them savages. Oh, they're unchristian, like they're heathens. And they tried to work them, and then all of a sudden they started, having relations and having them white babies and giving them Christianity. And they're like, oh, yeah, we can't enslave them because they're human all of a sudden.
hmm,
Then they're like, let's go over there.
people are going to hell with gasoline draws on because
Listen, who are you telling? With
whatever.
Texas Chasers tied to him, trailing behind. Get on down there. Pew, 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 pew,
Texas Chaser and they nigga knockers.
pew. Mhm.
Yeah. But on the real though, the way to solve this is treating everybody how you want to be treated.
With
Um,
respect, which, it's a two-way street. You give it and you get
exactly.
it.
That's
That's
all
it.
to it. So, with that being said, Miss Risky, great job on this story.
Thank you.
Um, I knew when you told me it was going to be great. I said, man, whatever you want to do. Now, I'm still going to try to talk to you and tell you pick which night you want. The Miss Risky show. Um, but either way, I know you're busy. You're working on a lot of good things, which we'll be talking about that soon. And still doing a lot of good things behind the scene. So let the people know where they can find you at.
I am all over the gram, as the kids say. At RsKee. I live on Instagram. I do have Twitter, Facebook, which I don't really monitor much. I have a page, rskeebooks.com. You can see my works. It's also, you can check out my books on Barnes and Noble and Amazon. So that's
And
it.
and and we'll talk about it off there. I'm not gonna put you on blast right now.
What?
Something you said no, something you said you was gonna work on. And
Oh
we're
no, it's
supposed to
still
work.
I'm still working on it. It should be finished
No, no, no,
by
no.
no, huh? Something
Not
else?
that. You're
The
supposed to be
game?
doing inventory.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I thought we were supposed to meet for that, and then things started happening.
Well, yeah, yeah. Like I said,
Like, my
I
box is
can't put
right
it.
there.
I can't put. Matter of fact, I told you I have a have a. I need to make it for you. I haven't done it yet, but I have something for you. So I'm a work on it as soon as I get everything settled down.
Yeah, I need to give some stuff away. It's cluttering up my life. But I also
Yeah.
need to make some better ones or some newer ones. So we'll probably do something with that later. But not there
Okay.
yet.
Well, that's good. I'm keep up the good work. I know you are doing quite a bit, not only with the show but also with yourself personally. Um, I can't wait till we can talk about it. I,
Listen, hopefully by the end of the month, I have something to report.
look, some. So just don't forget about little man.
Who?
Me,
They were
little
like,
man.
"Who you with, Kurt?" I don't know him. I'm gonna do the Mariah Carey. I don't know him.
I never knew him, but I have video of us. I don't know what you're talking about.
No,
That
I do that
wasn't me.
for like anyway because I don't remember people. People know everything about me. I was in your class. We sat here, and I was like, I was in that class, but I don't remember you. We hung out. We went to the bar. Okay.
Now I might kind of remember you.
No, I have
Was it
no
after?
like I totally block it out.
Be like,
Like I
was it
don't know
after two
people.
drinks?
No,
After two
like they
drinks?
just know me from class and college, and I don't know any of these people.
Hmm,
I just like
but
if they're not in my circle,
be like,
my
apparently,
bad.
apparently, it wasn't a good relationship. I didn't remember nothing.
Yeah, I'm like one of those people. Everybody thinks I'm their friend because I'm nice to people. Because I like to have fun. I'll talk to you. Doesn't mean we're best friends. I don't know you. I don't
Next
know you.
time, just tell them, look, I only have one friend.
Jennifer. Known her since kindergarten.
I never heard of a Jennifer. I don't know Jennifer.
I keep my friends separate
No,
from I have different groups of friends.
no, okay.
They don't intermingle.
I'm at the top though.
You're in one of the borders. Like
Oh,
I have different segments of friends for different reasons.
hey, there you go. You can't let all your friends kick it together.
No.
You start finding out they hanging out and they didn't call you.
Yeah.
So
No, no, a couple of them, they just didn't mix, and that was tragic. So we keep them away.
yeah, you got to be careful of that too because when you bring different people together, it can either be good or bad.
Well, and it wasn't even really towards them. I think it was just jealousy because, they wanted my time to be only, one on one, but it was like, oh, spread it out. I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. I'm not a therapist, so I
You
just keep
have
them separate.
you have Monday, you have Tuesday, you have Wednesday, you have Thursday, you have Friday. Saturday and Sunday, I'm resting. So, but no, that. I really appreciate you for all the hard work you do on the show, and y'all follow Risky on social media, uh, Risky Book. Then the website is riskybooks.com.
Hmm.
Um, and also follow her on the gram.
On the gram.
I'm
Yeah.
not on social media that much anymore, but I'm working my way back. So but you can follow me if you're on Instagram, speak on it with who you with Kurt Dog, as well as Facebook, YouTube. If you leave me a comment, I normally will respond. Even if it's a negative comment, I will respond
Mhm.
somehow, some way. But thank
You
you for
didn't respond
watching.
to mine.
Which one?
No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
well, you know what? You did send me something today, and I had so much going on today, so I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. Um,
Oh, it's just
but
something I stole from somebody's comment.
you know, but
Uh,
definitely follow her, follow me. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, please like, share, tell a friend, um, click the notification. for when we do come on, you're able to be a part of the show. We on Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time. We normally depends on how we flowing that night. We try to stay between certain times, but we're right on point tonight. So definitely follow us, and if you ever have any show ideas, something that you would like for us to speak on, you can always hit us up on an email. Who you with kurtdog at mail.com. Who you with kurtdog at mail.com. You can always follow us, Burke Denise. Thank you for watching on Facebook. I see you just chimed in. So please click the like, notification, share, let a friend know we are live and you can live chat with us in the chat room. You're on my personal page, but also go over to the business page, speak on it with Who You With Kurt Dog. Like, follow the page. And when you chat in the chat room, we can actually put it up on the stream, just like I did with Michael. He's on YouTube, so you can definitely do that and be a part of the show. So other than that, I appreciate y'all. It's been a great week. Um, so far, I will be back Sunday night. If the good Lord say the same, and Miss Risky will be back Thursday night. Not unless we
Different hair.
work. Oh, she's going to get her swerve on. Gotta go. Let me see here. Gotta go get that hair right. So
Yeah.
that wig split, fried, dyed, and laid to the side. Um, but definitely follow us on social media. And please remember, if there's anybody out here that is struggling right now with mental illness, I'm telling you, it's a struggle right now. Domestic violence is a struggle. Heard about the former NFL player that killed his wife, two kids, and I think it was two other people
There's
also,
two other people.
which is crazy. Then it was just a shooting down in Bryan, Texas today. So if you're dealing with domestic violence or you trying to get away from domestic violence, please get some help. Or if you're dealing with sexual assault, because that's on the rise too. We hear about it all the time. Most of all, if you are dealing with suicidal thoughts and thinking about suicide, please get some help. Get some help because this is serious. Like I tell people all the time on the show, you can always get counseling. If you are working, go to your HR, ask them about the Employee Assistance Program, EAP, and you can get counseling for free. So I will be reaching out to Miss Kincaid to see when she's available to come back on because we need it. Every day we hearing about murder, suicide, and everything else. So it's definitely something that we all need help with because mental illness is crazy right now. It is. So definitely continue to tune in. As soon as I get confirmation from Miss Kincaid, I will let you know. And we're going to bring her back because we need some help. Other than that, I will see y'all Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central Time, if the good Lord say the same. Until then, peace.